Welcome to Simply Robotics, the podcast, a podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simply Robotics. That's SIMPLYROBOTIX. When listening to the show, use the hashtag SimplyRoboticsPod to join the conversation. So today, I thought, it would be a good idea to explore or experience the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. I also thought that maybe it would be cool to document me watching all of this to a certain extent. Like, this is a podcast, so I can't really document the whole thing. Like, I thought it would be kind of strange if I would to record in pieces and be like, oh my gosh, I just watched the trailer and blah blah, and then keep coming back. I think that would have taken I don't know, it would have taken a lot out of me. So apparently, I guess I'm having a mood like after Game of Thrones, then to watch How to Train Your Dragon. It just felt like a lot of Vikings and Viking-esque people and lots of dragons and medieval times and things like that. But anywho, getting back to the episode. So this episode, I'm going to share my thoughts, predictions, if I was right or wrong about each of the How to Train Your Dragon movies, and then just briefly how I feel about it, like as a whole entity, as a whole project. So first is How to Train Your Dragon. After I watched the first trailer, I thought that visually it looked like a standard American animated feature film. It's DreamWorks production. There was a lot of action in the trailer, and I was like, whoa, I feel like I just mentally really checked out when I first saw this trailer back when it came out. The story, it looked like a typical we're aggressive towards these things / people, whatever, because they're not like us, and then the people find out that they were wrong about whoever it was that judged them. And some films that have like similar plots like that, just off the top of my head, are like kind of like Pocahontas to a certain extent, Avatar with the blue creatures, Box Trolls is pretty much like that, and that's just like a typical movie plot. So usually when I see things so blatant like that, I guess I kind of like check out. But I thought after watching the trailer that the movie would be the main character, whose name is Hiccup. He meets some resistance in trying to prove that dragons are not what they have believed them to be. So he's from like a Viking village, and I just felt like, yeah, basically he was gonna go out and like prove his village wrong about dragons, and then the people, the Vikings and the dragons, would live happily ever after. So after watching the film, I was like 99% right. I say I'm 99% right because they do live happily ever after with the dragons. So Hiccup actually didn't meet as much resistance as I thought he would from his Viking village. And the most resistance kind of came like from his dad, who was like the chief or the king or something like that, the king. And it didn't really take that much convincing to change their minds. I was very impressed with Hiccup's dragon, who's a night fury. The dragon's name is Toothless. There was like this huge dragon in a rock, and he was like the alpha dragon. So all the dragons were basically like stealing sheep and other food to feed this dragon, because I'm just gonna say this dragon was lazy and just like lived in a hole in this rock in a volcano kind of thing. So I was very impressed with Toothless, again, that's Hiccup's dragon, defeating this huge giant dragon. Like, Toothless is kind of small, I think, for a dragon. So it was impressive. So I also thought that it was kind of random the way like Hiccup lost his foot. So I guess that should have been like a spoiler alert if you've never seen this. Is honestly, if you've never seen any of these movies, this is gonna just be like a huge spoiler alert. Or a spoiler induced episode. So yeah, so Hiccup, things are happening. There's like this explosion, there's fire in the sky, and Hiccup was riding on Toothless, and or one way or another, they're both in the sky, and like Hiccup is falling, and Toothless is like shooting down, trying to catch Hiccup, and then you see, or you just see them like in the ground, and it turns out like Toothless got Hiccup and caught him and like was covering him within his wings and stuff like that. And then there's like a cut. Clearly some time has passed, and it turns out Hiccup doesn't have his foot. So I went to YouTube and I found this video, and I should have saved the girl's name, just about the theory about like how actually did Hiccup lose his foot. And she was saying just because like at how fast Hiccup was going, and he was like head first, feet in the air, falling down, that the only thing Toothless could do really was to grab his foot. So she's like assuming that Toothless had to actually use his teeth to grab onto his foot and could have really damaged his foot so much so that it had to be amputated. And I thought, well, that was a pretty good theory. They didn't show any of this in the movie again. This was just like assumed by this woman. So final thoughts. Hiccup's father, his father says his father's name is Stoic, and he says this line he says, "Winter is almost here," and all I could think about is winter is coming from Game of Thrones. Like, I laughed so hard by myself in my room watching this because I was like, Game of Thrones, I can't escape it. Like, all this time I wasn't trying to watch the show, and then I watched the show and I become like obsessed with it, and now the show's over and now I'm watching something else with dragons in medieval times, and I'm just like, get me out of here type of thing, you know. So when he said winter is near, I was like, oh my gosh, is Jon Snow about to pop up, like, or is Daenerys, or I don't know, you know. I thought it was funny to me. Overall, I thought this was like a good starter film to be a part of the trilogy, like, you know, introducing the history of Vikings and dragons, and just like, you know, establishing all the characters and the premise for like, okay, there's clearly something more to come. If I saw this when it first came out, I probably would not have continued watching it, honestly, because I just thought it was fine. It was what it was. I felt I could have understood past me feeling like there's no need to continue expanding the story. Like, this is good enough, one and done, and kept it moving. But because I know that there were 2 other movies after this, I'm like, okay, well, this is a good setup. I want to see the other 2. So How to Train Your Dragon 2. After I watched the second trailer, I thought, like, obviously things would be good, but not for long. But I really did enjoy seeing the Vikings and the dragons starting to like live together and function, and like, you know, how they were really embraced and continue to like incorporate the dragons like as a part of their livelihood. My prediction was that Hiccup would meet his mom, because it's like alluded in the trailer that he meets his mom, and she is saving the dragons from a batch of bad Vikings. His parents would reunite with his tribe, like with the Viking village, to defeat these new bad Vikings that are hunting dragons. And his mom would be like, I can't stay, like, you know, like she has to go out and be still out in the free world or whatever, saving dragons. And after watching the movie, I was like, I don't know, 65% right? Maybe. Y'all can tell me. So, though Hiccup did meet his mom, she actually ended up staying in the village, which I was like, whoa, you know. The village of dragons, like their Viking village, helped to defeat this, like, super bad, super huge giant dragon, and the evil Viking that was, like, controlling him, and all sorts of stuff, and the batch of bad Vikings that were following that leader Viking. So anyways, the bad guys were all defeated. And unfortunately, both parents did not make it back. Spoiler alert. I was not ready for that moment. I was like, whoa, like, how could you do this? I am getting used to this guy, like the father, Stoic. I'm really enjoying him. So my final thoughts were that I really appreciated how the character designs had been enhanced from the first movie to the second movie. Like, obviously, computers and softwares, they just get better, and new improvements and things like that. And it just was more appealing. I appreciated that. The fight, another Game of Thrones reference. The fight reminded me of the Long Night episode of Game of Thrones, and that's the episodes that like most of the series was building up to, where they had this huge battle in Game of Thrones. So in How to Train Your Dragon 2, there was again this like huge battle between like these good dragons and these like controlled kind of like bad dragons and the bad Vikings, and it was just so much action and things happening, and there was so much like fire and burning, and I'm watching this, and again, like I said, I'm still coming off of Game of Thrones, so I'm just like, burn them, like, you know. I just wanted the good dragons to burn all the bad Vikings, and I had to be like, hold up, this is a children's movie, so you know that's not going to happen. And I was like, maybe I should rewatch Game of Thrones to get this out of my system. Lastly, I thought actually the romance between Hiccup and Astrid is like this girl Viking that in the first movie, she's like, it just makes sense that she would be the one to be like the next big thing in the village, and Hiccup kind of comes out of nowhere and steals her shine, and they kind of like start like this little flirty relationship at the end of the first movie. The second movie, it's like established, everyone knows like they're super into each other, blah blah blah. So I thought this was just a little odd, because not because they didn't make a good couple, just because it seemed a little bit like out of place. It's like Hiccup has this like growing relationship with Toothless, his dragon, and he's has these relationships going through different like phases with his parents, his mom and his dad, and it just felt like the romance just didn't need to be a part of this story. Like, I get it, but it just felt a little bit out of place. And then also, I guess CG characters kissing, like kissing on the mouth, is just like weird to look at. Like, I don't know. I don't know how it could be better. It's just a random strange thing to me. But moving on. So How to Train Your Dragon 3. I watched the third trailer, and visually, it's obviously like the best out of all three. Like I said, the computer stuff, everything just keeps getting better with time, and everyone looks good. I really like the way that all of the main characters were enhanced and look like you can tell that whatever they were doing with their hair was working, whatever they were doing with like their skin and their clothing, it just looked very, very good. There was a new bad Viking. I didn't catch his name, which I should have Googled, and he wants to like exterminate all dragons. And he has this history of killing Night Furies, and Toothless, Hiccup's dragon is a Night Fury, right? So he catches wind that Toothless exists, and he's like on a mission to take him out. So I also liked how everyone has aged a bit more than the second movie, and as a whole, I liked how the trilogy, they age. Like, between the time between the first and the second movie is like 5 years. The time between the second and the third, it isn't that clear, but it seems like it's not as much as 5 years. But I just appreciate the aging throughout of it. So I was also interested in seeing in the third movie, it seemed like by the trailer that there was something going to happen where Hiccup's crew, they're all wearing like flight suits, and they're more like gliding than flying. So I was just pretty interested to see what was going to lead up to them having to be in the suits, because the suits looked really cool. So my prediction for the third movie was that Hiccup goes to find this hidden world. Okay, so the movie's called Hidden World, and the hidden world is just like somewhere beyond basically the edge of all the maps, like a place that doesn't exist, no one knows. There's like this hidden, like, I don't know, but like in the ocean, almost like a whirlpool. Would that be the right thing? So like in this whirlpool is like this hidden world where dragons can be free, and Hiccup wants to move the Viking village there so that they can live amongst the dragons, and like yada yada yada. So I felt that after seeing the trailer that Hiccup was going to set out to find this place first before bringing everybody, and then he meets the Light Fury. The Light Fury is a female version, and she's white in comparison to Toothless, who's black. A Light Fury is just the female version of Toothless, the Night Fury, and that's a name they just came up with because I guess it just made sense. So anywho, after my prediction, after Hiccup sees the Light Fury, he sees the bad guy from a distance, and he thinks or decides to take out the bad guy before the bad guy takes them out. So there's going to be this huge epic battle to see a huge epic battle, and I would see like all the dragons and like this new bad guy's whole tribe of like new bad Vikings, and then in the end Toothless and Light Fury would live happily ever after somewhere. Like, who knows? But was I right or wrong? I actually don't know the percentage of this one. So the bad guy was actually informed of Hiccup, so I was wrong there. And he seeks out Toothless just to, like I said before, to just make sure he kills all the Night Furies. So there really wasn't an epic battle per se, but there was like a huge fight scene, or like, let's defeat the bad guys, but it wasn't as epic as the second movie, I think. So the dragons did take down the bad guy's crew and like all his bad dragons. Toothless met Light Fury as a trap. Like, the bad guy used her to lure and distract Toothless, so that worked very well, and I was pretty impressed with that. They did live happily ever after in the hidden world, which I was right about that. So all the dragons from Burke, which is Hiccup's village, went with Toothless and the Light Fury actually to the hidden world. So now Toothless village is like back to being a village without dragons. So I didn't see that coming. I guess in all, I was pretty wrong about a lot of stuff for the third movie, but, you know, it was okay. So my final thoughts about the third movie was that I just love Light Fury. I keep getting tongue tied, and Toothless, and now I want a plushie of each of them because they're just so cute. And I really liked how they were flying around with each other when they kind of like not first met each other, but like the second time they met each other. It was like, I guess How to Train Your Dragon meets like a whole new world type of thing. Like they were just flying and twirling in the sky, and it was really cute. So I liked this villain much better than the last villain, and I kind of feel like out of the three movies, I would say he was like my favorite antagonist. Yeah, for sure, out of all three movies. I also appreciated the couple flashbacks that they had of Hiccup's life so that I could see his dad again. Because, like I said, I was like, dang, so he's really not going to be a part of the third movie. Like, y'all just took him out, and, I had gotten used to him. So I was also very, very highly stressed when Toothless got caught by this bad villain. I was like, well, it's a children's movie. They're not going to do that to Toothless. But I was just like, no, how could you catch him? Why would you do that? That type of thing. It was a beautiful ending for this film per se. Like, I was like, wow, like it really, I started to feel sad because I really enjoyed the relationship between Toothless and Hiccup. And I was liking the way everyone had their relationships with their own dragons, and just like, I didn't want all the dragons to leave. Like, I really wanted some of them to stay, and they had to listen to Toothless. Toothless is the alpha dragon, and they left. So I did pose a question to social media just asking, like, what's your favorite part of the How to Train Your Dragons trilogy, or like a particular, which movie was your favorite type of thing. So on Instagram, at PRJ, she said, I love them, the How to Train Your Dragon films. It's about the underdog coming out on top, the age-old story. On Twitter, Sleepy Gallows says, I really like how Hiccup and Toothless grew together, then grew apart, but in a natural way that happens with friends in real life. I also like the overall message of lose and or letting go found in each film, and I completely agree. Final thoughts of the trilogy, like as a whole, I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm surprised about how invested I became. And I think it's because I practically watched the movies like back to back. Like I watched one a night, and I feel like if I watched it over the span of years, like I said earlier, I really would have lost interest in it. Well, at least after the first movie. I think seeing the second movie, it would have made me excited to see the third for sure in that sense. But I'm so happy I did see it because I really liked it. And I feel like as a whole, it's definitely like beginning, middle, and end. And I felt like that was just a really good like story, just like as a whole, like as a collective. I'm like, wow, like if animated movies really had to be trilogies, which I'm not a fan of, this is how I would want it to be, like to really take you throughout the characters' journeys and their story arcs and like tug at your emotions. I don't think we need to get into 4, 5, and 6 iterations of a movie and keep like expounding upon things. Like this was just like perfect. I think that if they want to continue on with the entities from How to Train Your Dragon, continue doing the streaming programming, do like holiday specials or something like that. But I really hope they don't bring out another movie. Please don't. This is just perfect. Like this is just so perfect. Don't do it. So yeah, so I was definitely missing out by not watching this movie, and I'm very happy that I took the time to see it. So now time for some animation news. So since my last episode, there has been actually too much happening that I had to cut this down because I could be here for like another 15 minutes, and that's what we're not going to do. Via Cartoon Brew's Twitter, they said that with the Walt Disney's company's purchase of Fox, they now control 39% of the U.S. box office in 2019. That's more than the next top 3 studios combined: Universal, which owns 15.5%, Warner Brothers, which owns 14.7%, and Sony/Columbia, which owns 5.9%. Now, it's my understanding that Disney owns around 41% of like production media type of things like that. But to know that they own 39% of just the box office in the US this year, that's kind of like insane. And I think that's highly alarming. So Disney owns the following. They now own Hulu. That was announced about a week or two ago. So they own Hulu, ESPN, ABC, Fox, FX, Marvel, Lucasfilms, Nat Geo, and Annie. And I wasn't aware of some of the last ones. But, I think it's pretty alarming that one company is creating such a monopoly on the entertainment industry. And I think that it's definitely something to be wary of. I don't, someone would have to have this conversation with me, because I don't even solely think it's about combating this. It's just like, how do we make sure that things still get to be seen and be accessed and be consumed in the ways that they deserve? Like, if one company owns this much, then like, how do other people kind of get chances and break through? Also from Cartoon Brew, it says Disney to release 4 Fox animated features, but the future of Blue Sky is in question. So it's a little excerpt. They say the 2 Blue Sky Studio films that had previously been announced, Spies in Disguise, Whoop Whoop, and Nimona, have now been given definitive releases, though they have been pushed back from their previously announced release dates. Disney has not announced any Blue Sky titles beyond Nimona in 2021, which creates uncertainty about how or if they will integrate Greenwich, excuse me, why am I doing that? Which creates uncertainty about how or if they will integrate Greenwich, Connecticut-based Blue Sky into the Disney brand. The waiting game about the studio's future will continue for the time being. And honestly, this just makes me concerned for my peers over at Blue Sky Studios. It just has to be a little nerve wracking to just not know what's happening, and then also to just kind of be working on projects that you don't know will get shelved because of just the direction that Disney might go with things. Next we have Sonic was pushed back like the day I released my last episode, I feel like, or the day after this information came out. So director Jeff Fowler, he tweeted, what, I can't speak. He tweeted, taking a little more time to make Sonic just right. The new date is February 14th, 2020. And honestly, thank God they're pushing this back, because I know they just got so much crap for the fact that they were going to really force artists to just just force artists to do so much like overtime and like not see their family and just like really stress their mental and emotional well-being for the sake of like fixing this error that was not theirs. And I'm just so very happy that it's being pushed back, and I still hope that it won't be a stressful experience for the artist. Like, people have asked me like, oh, well, just trying to understand, like, can't they just change, the character and just put it back and like all the animation will be there? And it's like, no, there's actually a whole production pipeline for creating a character, and everything has to be done over. They have to pop this new Sonic back into all these screens and like readjust his shadows and reflections to make him, and lighting to make him look like he's actually in there. They just have to do like rigging and animation over. They have to do the modeling over. There's just like the fur. There's just too much stuff that has to be done over. And I just hope they don't have to actually film the live action segments like with people, because this Sonic should still be the same height, but he's definitely not the same width, or at least he shouldn't be. So I just wonder how all that's going to play out. And also, if they had other characters from, like, I don't know if there's going to be like, Knuckles or Tails or anything like that in it. But if they looked also how the first Sonic looked, then those characters have to be done over too. So all in all, I'm happy it's getting pushed back, because I hope that it will just be a little less stressful for people. The next thing is from Hollywood Reporter, that Adventure Time alum sets Netflix animated series City of Ghosts. So Elizabeth Ito, she's an Emmy-winning director and writer on Cartoon Network's animated series Adventure Time, and creator of the Cartoon Network short Welcome to My Life. She has, I think it's an animated series. It's titled City of Ghosts, and it's described as a hybrid documentary and animated series. It features a group of kids who discover stories around their city by communicating with the ghosts that inhabit it. And visually, it looks really cute. I'll have the link in the episode notes, and I think you should just check it out. I don't think there was a trailer for it, at least not in this article, but they have some pictures, and it looks really cute. Next up is from Deadline, and it's Urban Legends First Look, Animators Unite for 1980s Coming of Age Tale. So the official synopsis, this is a graphic novel of Urban Legends, is after his mother's death, Dwayne is forced to uproot himself and move into the home where his mother grew up, a shabby apartment in Brooklyn. When your dad is a police officer and your brother is too cool for school, what's an insecure teen supposed to do? Dwayne's personal problems are cast aside when he joins a new crew of young vigilantes devoted to solving a series of sinister cases around mysterious monsters that have been wreaking havoc throughout the city. What if all the urban legends we all fear were real? The graphic novel is work of 3 noted animators, Paul Downs, who worked on Robots in Ice Age. That's weird. I've never met him. Nick Bruno, who makes his director debut with this year with Spies in Disguise for Blue Sky Studios. So obviously I worked with Nick. And Michael Yates, Toy Story 4 and Cars 3, who I worked with remotely on Book of Mojo. So they teamed up in hopes for a page-turning success. Urban Legends hits bookstores on June 12th and reaches the shelves at comic book stores on June 13th. So I was really excited for this team. Like I said, I've surprisingly never met Paul, but I know Nick, and I've at least followed Michael Yates stuff on Instagram for a very, very long time, and like I said, briefly worked with him on Book of Mojo, and I'm just excited. It looks really interesting. I like their visual style already. It's based in New York. It's a little diverse cast. Obviously, Dwayne is Black, and it seems pretty interesting, so I'm definitely going to check it out when it comes out. So on some sad news, there was in SpongeBob, Tim Conway, who was the legendary voice of Barnacle Boy, passed away in between recordings, so condolences to him. I don't know, first it was the creator, now this guy. I think I'm a little wary for the SpongeBob crew, at least the OG SpongeBob crew. Lastly, the Mighty Grand Python. So this is like a Caribbean anime. So it's like anime, but it's set in the Caribbean, and it just has my heart already. I'm not crazy about anime, but I'm crazy about the Caribbean, and I like feeling represented. So the Mighty Grand Python is set on the small island of St. Lucia, and against its famous mountains, Les Pythons, I don't know, maybe. The short follows a young British girl with St. Lucian roots who discovers a mysterious giant robot while on a family holiday. I'll buy the trailer, which the link to the trailer is going to be in the description. But it looks very interesting, so I'm going to continue to keep an eye on it because I'm not sure. It seems like it's just in production right now. There's just a trailer, and I just look forward to the future of it. But that's all the animation news. Thank you again for listening. Thank you for sharing and interacting with me. There were no guests this episode, but I'm thinking of releasing another Diverse Tunes audio in the near future. Also, tell me what you think. Should I do a bit more movie reviews? So I'm wondering. There's a lot of stuff I haven't seen, which might be a little unnerving to me because putting it out there I haven't seen this movie, even though it's one of those movies everybody has to see. But I think it's been kind of fun. And then also it's about to be film festival time, so I'll be checking out a bunch of stuff like that. As always, you can follow me on social media, and you can send me messages, anything. If you have show ideas, if you think would be really cool, you can send them to me in the DM or email. My social media, again, on Twitter and Instagram. Facebook is Simply Robotics, SimplyRobotix. Website, simplyrobotics.com. You can leave reviews on the Apple Podcasts or iTunes, whatever. That's fine. Use the hashtag SimplyRoboticsPod. I need to set up alerts so that I can see stuff as they come up in there, but thank you for those that's been using the hashtag. Don't forget to check out my 100-day project where I'm doing stop motion, and it's about to be June. This podcast is gonna be out throughout June, so happy summer to you guys, and until next time, bye.